Imagine that every experience in your life, whether joyful or painful, has a deeper purpose. What if I told you that, according to Buddhism, nothing happens by chance? I invite you to discover how this ancient philosophy reveals that everything that happens has a reason for being. Begin this journey of self-discovery and find inner peace by understanding that everything happens for a reason. The law of impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent. Everything changes, the seasons, our emotions, relationships, even our own bodies. In Buddhism, this principle is called anicca, impermanence, and it is one of the fundamental truths of existence. Suffering arises when we resist this reality. We want happy moments to last forever and difficulties to disappear as soon as possible. But life is a constant flow. The key is not to cling or resist, but to learn to accept each stage with serenity. Observe nature. A river flows without stopping, without clinging to a single form. A tree loses its leaves in autumn, but it does not suffer because of it. It knows that spring will bring new ones. We too can learn to let go of what is no longer there, trusting that each change guides us toward a new stage of growth. Accepting impermanence frees us. It allows us to enjoy the present without fear of losing it and to face challenges with the certainty that they too will pass. True peace is not in avoiding change, but in flowing with it. Perhaps today you are going through a confusing or painful stage. Maybe you feel that things are not turning out as you expected, or that you have lost control over your life. But what if, in the midst of this apparent disorganization, a new order is revealing itself? Karma and the law of cause and effect. Nothing in life happens by chance. Every action, thought, and word generates a consequence. This is the essence of karma. It is not a divine punishment or reward, but a natural law. Everything we do creates energy that, sooner or later, comes back to us. Like a stone thrown into a lake, our actions generate waves that disturb the surface. Some have immediate effects, others take time to manifest. But one thing is certain, everything we do leaves a mark. Karma is not only action, it is also thought and intention. A person filled with hatred, even if they do not act, is affected by that energy. On the other hand, those who cultivate compassion, even when faced with difficulties, generate peace around them. The quality of our life is determined by the quality of our intentions. Even if we do not always see results immediate, our actions sow seeds. Some germinate quickly, others take longer. The essential thing is to understand that we are responsible for our reality. It is not about blaming ourselves, but about understanding that we have the power to change our circumstances by transforming our choices. A Buddhist story sums it up this way: if you sow apple seeds, you will get apples. If you sow thorns, you will get thorns. The same is true of our lives. Every decision we make today is sowing the seeds of our future. Karma also speaks to us of collective responsibility. Our actions affect not only our personal lives, but also our environment, our family, and our community. A thought of hatred may seem insignificant, but if it is nurtured, it can turn into destructive words and actions. On the other hand, a thought of gratitude can transform into kind words and generous actions. Intention makes all the difference. Helping out of obligation is not the same as helping from the heart. The energy we generate is different. That is why cultivating mindfulness is key. By observing our thoughts and actions honestly, we can detect patterns that cause us to repeat suffering or create harmony. If we react with anger constantly, we attract conflict. But if we respond calmly, we break the cycle and generate peace. Every small positive gesture has an impact. Just as a drop of water creates ripples, every conscious act transforms our lives and those around us. Attachment and suffering. On the path of inner growth, there is a profound truth that Buddhism invites us to look at honestly. Suffering does not come from what happens to us, but from the attachment we generate toward what we want to hold on to. We cling to people, objects, achievements, even emotions or memories, in the hope that this will bring us happiness. We believe that if we manage to keep what we love close to us, then we can feel complete and at peace. But the truth is that nothing is permanent. The person who is with us today may leave tomorrow. The emotion that fills us with joy today may dissipate over time. Even our ideas, our ideals, our dreams are constantly evolving. And when what we cling to changes or disappears, suffering arises. Why? because we have placed our inner stability in the external. And the external, by nature, is always in motion. Attachment is like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder we squeeze, the faster it slips away. And without realizing it, by clinging on, we hurt ourselves. But here is a liberating key: letting go does not mean ceasing to love. It does not mean giving up, or living in coldness or indifference. Letting go, in reality, is loving with awareness. It is loving without possessing. It is learning to enjoy what life offers us without demanding permanence. It is being present, grateful, open, knowing that everything that comes can also go. And even so, choosing to live it with all our heart. Love without attachment does not seek to control. It does not set conditions. It does not demand that the other person complete us, nor that circumstances conform to our desires. Such love flows with acceptance. And when we learn to live from that place, something within us expands. A new freedom begins to emerge. A peace that does not depend on what is outside, but on an inner wisdom that trusts in life. Letting go is not losing, it is gaining lightness. It is making room for the new to arrive. It is allowing ourselves to live without the anxiety of having to hold on to everything. The next time you feel that you are suffering because of something that is changing, ask yourself with love, what am I holding on to? Can I let it go, without giving up love, but freeing myself from fear? By learning to let go of what we cannot hold on to, we free ourselves from suffering. And from there, from that freedom, true peace begins to blossom. The wisdom of acceptance. Life rarely follows the plan we imagine. From an early age, we are taught to fight for what we want, to resist, to try our hardest. We grow up believing that we must control everything in order to achieve happiness. But rarely, almost never, are we taught to accept. And without that wisdom, suffering becomes inevitable. In Buddhism, accepting is not giving up. It is not resigning oneself or becoming passive. Accepting is opening one's eyes to what is. It is seeing reality as it presents itself, without judgment, without rejection, without demanding that it be different. It is letting go of the need for everything to happen according to our expectations. Pain exists, yes. But much of suffering comes from resistance. We resist change, we resist loss, we resist when things don't turn out as we expected. And that resistance, silent but constant, strains our body, our mind, and our heart. When something changes, we cling to how things were before. When someone acts differently than we imagined, we feel frustration or disappointment. But life goes on, with or without our permission. And that is where the opportunity to transform our relationship with what is happening arises. Acceptance is not synonymous with weakness. On the contrary, it takes enormous inner strength to face a difficult situation and say, "This is what it is now." Acceptance does not mean that you approve of what is happening, nor that you do not want to improve your life. It means that, instead of fighting the inevitable, you choose to let go of control and trust. Because, even though we may not always understand it right away, everything that happens has a cause. Every experience carries with it a lesson. Even what hurts us, even what we did not ask for, can be part of a larger process that we cannot yet see clearly. Acceptance gives us space. It allows us to breathe amid chaos. It allows us to stop the internal struggle and start listening. What is this situation showing me? What can I learn from this, even if I don't like it? Acceptance does not mean ceasing to act. It means ceasing to fight reality in order to act from a place of peace. From a place of clarity. From a deep understanding that there are things we cannot change, but we can transform how we experience them. The wisdom of acceptance does not make us indifferent, it makes us aware. It allows us to flow with life instead of getting stuck in complaint. It opens us up to new possibilities, to solutions we couldn't see before because we were trapped in frustration. When we accept, the mind calms down, the heart lightens, and the soul opens up to what is to come. Sometimes, what we need most is not to change what is happening, but to change the way we experience it. And in that inner transformation, true freedom begins to blossom. A story illustrates this. A farmer lost his horse. The neighbors said, "What a misfortune." He replied, "Who knows if it's good or bad?" Then the horse returned with more wild horses. The neighbors celebrated. The farmer said the same thing. His son tried to tame one, fell, and broke his leg. Again, "What a misfortune." "Who knows?" replied the farmer. Later, the army came to recruit young men, but his son was exempt because he was injured. What seemed bad turned out to be good. That's how life is. Only with time do we see the whole picture. Acceptance does not mean inaction. If something hurts us and we can change it, we must do so. But if it is beyond our control, fighting only causes suffering. Wisdom lies in knowing when to act and when to accept. Acceptance also includes others. Sometimes we suffer because we want to change people. But each being has their own path. Accepting others as they are, with their lights and shadows, brings harmony. And we must also learn to accept ourselves. Stop judging ourselves. Self-compassion is essential for living in peace. Change is inevitable. There will be losses, failures, and also love and opportunities. Life is a balance. Accepting both poles with serenity gives us freedom. In life, we all face difficult moments. Losses that hurt, failures that shake us, illnesses that stop us, conflicts that wear us down. In those moments, the only thing that seems to exist is pain. We wonder why this is happening to us, what we did wrong, or if we will ever feel peace again. But when we manage to stop, breathe, and observe more deeply, we discover something transformative. Every adversity contains a lesson. A hidden lesson that is only revealed if we are willing to look with an open heart. Nothing is useless if we use it to grow. This is one of the deepest truths of the Buddhist path. Every painful experience can become wisdom if we stop fighting against it and begin to ask ourselves, what does this want to teach me? What part of me needs to be strengthened, let go of, or awakened? Buddhism teaches us that everything is interconnected. Nothing happens completely in isolation. Sometimes what seems like an obstacle is actually the bridge to a greater transformation. A relationship that ends can teach us to return to ourselves, to value ourselves without depending on the other person. A professional failure can redirect us toward a more authentic vocation. Even an illness, however difficult it may be, can bring us back to the essentials, our body, our self-care, our real priorities. There is a well-known story that illustrates this with moving clarity. A young disciple watched with compassion as a caterpillar struggled to emerge from its cocoon. Seeing it struggle so hard, he decided to help it by carefully opening the cocoon. But the butterfly could not fly. Its wings had not developed with the necessary strength. What the disciple did not understand was that the effort to emerge from the cocoon was an essential part of the process. It was what strengthened its wings so that it could fly. By removing the difficulty, he also removed the possibility of growth. That is how we are. We want to avoid pain, skip the process, go straight to peace. But often it is in the very difficulty that our evolution lies. Pain is not a punishment. It is a teacher. A demanding one, yes, but also a deeply wise one, if we have the courage to listen to it. Learning from adversity does not mean denying suffering. It means not getting stuck in it. It means giving it a purpose. It means allowing that dark moment to teach us something that will later make us freer, more compassionate, stronger. Sometimes what we need most is not for the situation to change, but for our way of seeing it to transform. And that transformation does not happen when everything is going well, but in the midst of storms. The calm we seek outside begins to be cultivated when we recognize that even pain can have meaning. That even tears can be seeds of wisdom. By embracing this understanding, we stop asking ourselves, why is this happening to me? And begin to ask ourselves, what can I learn from this to continue growing? And in that question, life becomes a teacher. And we, humble but awakened disciples, begin to walk with more awareness, more gratitude, and more inner peace. Accepting adversity is not giving up. It is seeing it as a teacher. We can choose to remain in pain or transform it. One useful way is to write about our past trials and what we learned. We discover that thanks to those experiences make us stronger today. The human mind wants to avoid pain. But facing it with awareness transforms us. If criticism hurts us, it is a sign that we need to work on our self-esteem. If a loss paralyzes us, perhaps it is time to learn to let go. Every difficult emotion shows us a part of ourselves that needs understanding and healing. Even the most painful things have a purpose. When we trust that everything has meaning, we face challenges with greater calm. Changing "why me" to "what for" transforms our experience. Life's lessons are not always easy, but they are always valuable. Mindfulness. Our minds wander between the past and the future. We relive wounds or project fears. We rarely inhabit the present. Buddhism teaches the practice of mindfulness, living in the here and now with total awareness. The present is the only real moment. It is where we feel, act, and live. Mindfulness is not just meditation, it is a way of life. Eating mindfully, listening with presence, walking while feeling each step. Distraction is the usual state. We check our phones, we think about 1,000 things. But by being present, we regain a sense of reality. The mind is like a jumping monkey. Meditation trains it to focus. Observing the breath, without controlling it, brings us back to the present. It is not about eliminating thoughts, but observing them without clinging to them. The mind is sky. Thoughts are clouds that come and go. There is no need to hold on to any of them. Mindfulness also allows us to choose how to respond. Instead of reacting with anger or fear, we can act calmly. Every moment is an opportunity to awaken. No retreat is necessary. We can practice in daily life, when washing our hands, drinking tea, listening to a bird. Happiness is not in the future, it is in how we live the present. If we do not learn to be present, we will always be chasing something unattainable. Mindfulness reveals the beauty of everyday life. It connects us with existence. It does not eliminate problems, but it gives us clarity to face them. We can start with small gestures, breathing consciously, listening attentively, savoring with gratitude. Over time, it becomes a transformative habit. It reminds us that life is here, now. And by living in the present, we discover that happiness is an experience possible in this very moment. Our mind can be our worst enemy or our best ally. It can become an inexhaustible source of suffering, or the key that opens the door to liberation. And this difference does not depend on what happens to us, but on how we interpret what happens to us. Buddhism explains it with a clarity that transforms. We do not suffer because of the facts themselves, but because of the way we think about them. The mind reacts. It interprets. It judges. But what if we weren't what we think we are? Observing thoughts, without clinging to them, without identifying with them, allows us to breathe more clearly. That's where freedom begins. Because even though impulse pushes us, there is always a choice. We can react, or we can respond. We can repeat the same old thing, or we can stop, observe, and act from awareness. Meditation, mindfulness, and self-observation are not mystical practices, they are mental training. They are ways to tame that inner voice that interprets everything, fears everything, judges everything. And it's not about eliminating suffering. It's about understanding it. Looking at it head-on and asking ourselves, what does this emotion want to show me? What part of me needs to be healed? Every difficult emotion, every uncomfortable thought, is not an enemy. It is an opportunity. An open door to growth. When we let go of our attachment to the negative, when we stop giving so much power to those repetitive thoughts, something loosens inside. And in that space, inner peace begins to emerge. The path to enlightenment is not an exotic or distant destination. It is not reserved for a select few. It is a way of being, here and now. It is living each moment with presence, with openness, with compassion. Because when the mind calms down, the heart opens. And from there, everything changes. External reality is transformed, because we have already begun to transform it from within. If this message has touched a part of you, if you felt calm, clarity, or a small awakening in the midst of chaos, don't ignore it. Subscribing to this channel is not just following another piece of content, it is opening a door to a new way of living. A life with more awareness, more peace, and more purpose. Here you will find more than words, you will find tools to transform suffering into wisdom, chaos into clarity, and pain into inner strength. Each video is designed to accompany you on your journey, to remind you that you are not alone, and that within you there is immense power waiting to be awakened. Click subscribe and join this community of souls who, like you, are ready to let go of what no longer serves them, and start living from the heart. Because transformation doesn't start outside, it starts here, with you. And this channel can be the beacon that guides you through the dark days. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.